Browns fans, we have a breaking news story that could change everything. Just when it seemed like this offseason couldn't get any crazier, the NFL has thrown the Browns a lifeline. I'll tell you all about it in detail, but first, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more news. So let's be honest, this offseason hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. After a rollercoaster 2024 season, Browns fans were hit with a gut punch when Myles Garrett officially requested a trade. That's right, our six-time Pro Bowler, the face of the Browns defense for the past 8 seasons, has made it clear that he's tired of losing football. He's only made the postseason twice since entering the league as the first overall pick in 2017, and both times it was a quick exit. Garrett wants to compete for championships, and who can blame him? If the Browns can't convince him that they're building a serious contender, he may not be around for much longer. But now, with this massive salary cap increase, the Browns have a golden opportunity to change the narrative. Earlier this week, ESPN's Dan Graziano reported that the 2025 salary cap will increase from $255.4 million to somewhere between $277.5 million and $281.5 million. That means the Browns could have up to $26.1 million in additional cap space to work with, money that could go directly toward keeping Garrett in Cleveland. And let's be real, he's worth every penny. Since 2017, Garrett has recorded 102.5 sacks, 250 solo tackles, 20 forced fumbles, and 17 pass defenses, establishing himself as one of the most dominant defensive players of his generation. Last season alone, he was Pro Football Focus's second highest rated pass rusher, 92.8, and overall defender, 92.3. That kind of production doesn't grow on trees. Spotrac now estimates Garrett's market value at around $34.3 million per year, which is a huge jump from the $40 million he's set to make over the next 2 seasons. But with the additional cap space, locking him up with a lucrative long-term extension is a very real possibility. The Browns can't afford to let a generational talent like Garrett walk out the door. But let's say he's still hesitant. What else can the Browns do? Well, they can use the increased cap space to strengthen the roster around him. One of Garrett's biggest frustrations has been the team's inconsistency and failure to build a legitimate playoff contender. If GM Andrew Berry can make smart moves to improve both sides of the ball, that might be enough to convince Garrett that Cleveland is serious about competing. Now, some people might argue that trading Garrett for a bunch of draft picks is the way to go, but let's be honest, there's no replacing a player like Myles Garrett. The odds of getting another elite edge rusher with any draft pick are slim. And financially, it doesn't even make sense. According to ESPN's Aaron Schatz, trading Garrett would put the Browns in an even worse salary cap situation. They're already $30 million over the cap, and moving Garrett would leave them with at least $36 million in dead money and a loss of $16.5 million in cap space. Even waiting until after June 1st wouldn't help much. The Browns would still have to pay him a $5 million roster bonus and not get anything in return until next year. So what does all of this mean? This means that keeping Garrett is the only logical move for the Browns. They finally have a way to offer him more money, show him they're committed to winning, and avoid completely crippling their finances. Now, it's up to the front office to step up and make it happen. Browns fans, we want to hear from you. Do you think this salary cap increase is enough to keep Myles Garrett in Cleveland? Should the Browns offer him a massive extension, or should they focus on building a stronger roster around him first? Let us know in the comments below. There have been a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, and a lot of opinions. Some people think the Browns should draft a quarterback with the second overall pick. Others believe they should go the free agency route. And then there are those who think they should make a blockbuster trade. But according to Todd McShay, Cleveland is not drafting a quarterback with the second pick. That's right. According to multiple sources McShay spoke with, the Browns are not pulling the trigger on a quarterback with their first pick. Instead, McShay believes they will select Travis Hunter, the star out of Colorado who can play both wide receiver and cornerback. Now, let's break this down. If the Browns aren't going to take a quarterback at number 2, that means they are putting all of their focus on finding a QB in free agency or via trade. And that opens up a whole new set of possibilities. Could they go after a guy like Sam Darnold? What about Daniel Jones? Maybe Kirk Cousins? Or will they swing for the fences and try to land a big name in a trade? Browns color analyst Nathan Zagura has an interesting take on how Cleveland should handle this. His idea? Go after a veteran QB and draft multiple quarterbacks. He believes the team should draft a quarterback later in the draft, someone like Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, or Tyler Shaw, while also bringing in a proven veteran to stabilize the room. This strategy is similar to what Washington did in 2012, when they drafted Robert Griffin III second overall and then drafted Kirk Cousins in the 4th round. This approach would give the Browns some insurance. If they lose a rookie, they still have a veteran in place. And if the youngster develops, great, they have their QB of the future. Plus, this plan would keep Dorian Thompson-Robinson in the mix to compete for a starting job, too. So what does all this mean for the Browns? It means the front office has some big decisions to make. Do they go all in on a veteran QB and hope for the best? Do they draft multiple quarterbacks and hope one of them pans out? Or do they surprise us and pick a quarterback at number 2, despite what McShay is reporting? One thing is for sure, this offseason is going to be a roller coaster, and we're just getting started. Browns fans, we want to hear from you. If the Browns don't draft a quarterback at number 2, what's the best move? Should they go all in on a veteran? Should they draft multiple QBs? Or do you think McShay is wrong and the Browns will draft a quarterback early? Let us know what you think in the comments. Now, there are reports that the Cleveland Browns don't want to trade their star pass rusher. He's still under contract for 2 years, and GM Andrew Berry is adamant he wants Garrett to honor that contract. But here's the problem, Garrett isn't convinced. He's made it clear that he wants to compete for a Super Bowl ring, and his trade request shows that he doesn't trust the front office to put him in the best position to do so. So what's the solution? Well, according to Browns cornerback Greg Newsome too, the key to keeping Garrett in Cleveland may come down to one thing, fixing the quarterback position. Newsome spoke to Cleveland.com recently and noted that a stable quarterback situation may be enough to convince Garrett to stay. He said, I definitely think, like Denzel and everybody else has said, you just have to solidify that quarterback position. Look, the Commanders are right there to make it to the Super Bowl because they got that quarterback. This is an interesting take because it suggests that quarterback uncertainty is a bigger issue than some may have thought. The Browns have the 2nd overall pick in the draft, and they could use it to draft a young quarterback like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. But here's the thing, Garrett already knows this. He's aware of the team's options. If he's asked for a trade, that means he's considered playing a young rookie quarterback and decided it's not enough to convince him to stay. This puts the Browns in a tough spot. They could try to hold on to Garrett until the start of the season and hope he sees enough progress to change his mind. But that's a dangerous gamble. If he still wants out after week 1, his trade value may already be affected, making it even harder for the team to get a fair return for one of the league's best defensive players. So, Browns fans, what do you think? Can the front office do enough to convince Myles Garrett to stay, or is it time to accept that he's already 1 foot out the door? Let me know in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Browns updates. Go Browns!